Greetings, gamers! I've always really wanted to say that, so thanks. I am not Ian Higton, as you might have told already. I am instead Martin Robinson, Eurogamer's features editor, who has been lucky enough over the past week to play through a fair amount of Bayonetta 2. I'm only really allowed to talk about the first 4 or 5 levels, but I can kind of talk around it. So yeah, Bayonetta 2 is the Wii U exclusive sequel to Platinum's 2009 action game. I say action game, but I don't really know how you define the original, or its sequel for that matter. Loosely speaking, it's a fighting game in the mold of Devil May Cry, which of course Bayonetta's original director, Hideki Kamiya, also created, but it's so much more than that. For my money, the first Bayonetta was one of the greatest games of its generation. It was as inventive as anything Nintendo's done, while it was layered with some of the edgy cool that defined classic Sega of the 90s, the kind of Sega that we all loved. Bayonetta 2 is essentially more of the same, but there's just really no problem with that at all. It's so much more of the same. Not in terms of how much content there is in there, but just in how every level is absolutely packed with spectacle. You kind of see elements of that here. This is just from the opening level. Within seconds, you're riding atop a jet and doing what was my favourite move, is Bayonetta's breakdance, which ends with a little knowing wink to camera. Yeah, the opening is just like breathtaking, and pretty much it doesn't let up from this point until the end of the game. At the very start of the game, Bayonetta makes an entrance, like an elongated Audrey Hepburn in this super cool white dress that I really hope is going to be an unlockable at some point. And from that point onwards, it's just a succession of in-jokes, set pieces, and most importantly, the really cool crunchy fighting. There's still more deference to Sega, I think, when it comes to the references. There's a crazy taxi skit which you would have seen at the front of the video, and this jet thing I kind of like to see as a tribute to Afterburner. And the final boss you end up with is this kaiju fight that puts this summer's Godzilla reboot to shame. It's such an amazing spectacle. So what is actually new for Bayonetta 2? Well, most importantly, obviously, there's a haircut, which again you could probably get an hour out of me on, but for the sake of brevity, let's just say I'm a fan. Her last haircut in the first game looked like it'd be better suited to an ombre tracksuit, but this short crop has loads more style and seems more befitting of a character like Bayonetta. Yeah, I can't go back to the old haircut, I just can't. The game's changed a little bit too. I think it's slightly easier. The normal setting is the equivalent of the old easy one, I think. It's going to be interesting to play through the game again when on a harder level, and see if some of that old tactical fighting begins to shine through a little bit more. What else is new? You've got Umbra and Climax, which is, you can see that magic meter in the top left. When that's topped out, you can unleash a set of super moves. It's cool, like it adds a little bit more to the combat. I'm not sure it adds so much though. I mean, it's already a pretty complex system. It doesn't take anything away. It's just a little bit vanilla, really. Likewise, there's aerial fights and underwater fights, which don't really take anything away, but they're just not quite as good as the meat and potatoes combat, which is what you're seeing here. And it's not bad, it's just garnish, so you can't really be too offended when it's everything else there is so cool. And here we have, I was going to say my proudest moment, because the only time I recorded me actually fighting really well. I'm using the Rakshar swords and the bow and arrow, and then also, for good measure, riding a Angel Rhino and knocking the crap out of another one with a hammer. Yeah, so that's Bayonetta 2. In short, basically, I've been playing it for hours. I haven't stopped smiling pretty much for any single one of those hours. So I reckon it's going to be quite a good game. If you've liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and like if it hasn't made you feel physically sick. And with that, I shall leave you. Ta-ra!